The sky above the alien planet was unlike anything the human had ever seen. Swirling colors of violet and deep gold stretched endlessly, casting a strange, shimmering glow on the jagged terrain below. He had landed here almost by accident, a navigation error during what was supposed to be a simple exploration mission. The planet's atmosphere was thin but breathable, carrying a faint scent of something sweet, like blooming flowers mixed with rain-soaked earth. Every step he took on the uneven ground echoed in the silence, making him acutely aware of his isolation. He was far from Earth, far from everything familiar, and yet a strange thrill ran through him. As he moved carefully among the rocky formations, he noticed movement ahead. At first it was subtle, a ripple in the light, but then a figure emerged. She was unlike any creature he had ever encountered. Tall and regal, with skin that shimmered faintly like silver under the strange light, she walked with grace and authority. Her eyes were large and intelligent, glowing faintly with a golden hue, and they seemed to look straight into his soul. Even from a distance he could feel her presence. It was commanding yet calm, like a storm contained within serenity. For a long moment neither spoke. The human felt his pulse quicken. He had read about first contacts with alien civilizations in books, but nothing had prepared him for this. There was something ancient in her gaze, something that spoke of centuries, maybe millennia of experience. She did not approach aggressively, nor did she retreat. She simply watched, assessing him, and the human felt a mixture of fear and awe. Finally she spoke, her voice soft yet carrying an unexpected weight. "I am older than your history, human. I have seen worlds rise and fall, and yet here you stand, far from your own home." Her words were not threatening, but there was an underlying gravity that made him understand immediately that he was in the presence of someone extraordinary. He could hardly respond. His mind raced, trying to find words suitable for someone so immense in wisdom and presence. I didn't mean to intrude," he said, his voice shaking slightly. I was just exploring." She tilted her head, observing him with curiosity. "You are not like others who have come before. Your spirit is different. Bold, yes, but also unusual. There is a purpose here, though you do not yet understand it." The human swallowed hard. His heart pounded in his chest. He had trained for years for exploration missions, for survival in extreme conditions, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of standing before an alien queen, centuries older than any human could ever imagine. He tried to study her face, searching for a clue about her intentions, but there was nothing human about her expression. It was serene, distant, yet there was a hint of something more, an unspoken message he could not yet comprehend. I don't understand," he admitted. "Why am I here? Why now?" The queen's lips curved slightly, though not quite a smile. "Time is different here. What seems sudden to you is but a moment in my eyes. I have been waiting for someone like you. Not for me, but for her." She paused, her eyes glinting. "My daughter awaits you, human. But she is not yet ready to meet you. You must prove yourself first, in ways you cannot yet imagine." Her words sent a chill down his spine, but also a strange excitement. The mention of her daughter made him wonder about the purpose of this meeting. Was it a test, a trial, or something far beyond his understanding? He had encountered difficulties in his career before, faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, but nothing had prepared him for the feeling that this moment carried consequences far beyond his own life. "Your daughter?" he repeated cautiously. "You mean, she knows I'm coming?" The queen's gaze softened ever so slightly, though it retained its weight. "She knows only what she must. Some things are not meant to be explained yet. You will learn in time. But know this, human, you are far too ancient for me. I have lived longer than your species can even count, yet in you, there is something familiar, something that draws me to you, though I cannot fully understand it myself." The human took a step back, trying to absorb the enormity of her words. Too ancient for her? And yet she spoke of a connection. He had always believed that humans were insignificant in the grand universe, that their brief lives could not matter beyond the small blue planet they called home. And yet here was a being older than time itself, speaking of him as if he held a purpose that transcended worlds. I don't know what to say," he whispered. "Then do not speak," she replied gently. "Words are not always needed. Actions speak, and they will guide both you and her." She lifted one hand, delicate and luminous, and motioned toward a narrow path leading deeper into the alien terrain. "Walk this path. See what you can endure. Discover who you truly are, and perhaps, by the time you reach her, you will understand why you were brought here." The human hesitated. His instinct screamed caution, yet something inside him urged him forward. He had always been curious, always been driven by the need to understand the unknown. And now, standing before this ancient queen, he realized that curiosity was not enough. Courage, resilience, and perhaps even something deeper, faith in himself, would be required. He began walking, each step careful, feeling the ground beneath him shift in ways that reminded him he was not on Earth. Strange plants with translucent leaves seemed to follow his movement, and glowing insects flitted across the rocks in patterns that made no sense. It was beautiful, almost dreamlike, yet he knew that danger could be hidden in such beauty. He felt both awe and vulnerability. As he walked, he thought of the queen's words. Too ancient for her, yet her daughter awaited him. He tried to imagine what kind of being could exist in a world so alien, who could carry the weight of a civilization while also being young and curious enough to interact with a human. Questions raced through his mind. What did the queen mean by too ancient? Was it his knowledge, his perspective, or something else entirely? And what did she see in him that others had not? Hours, or perhaps days, seemed to pass as he moved through the alien landscape. The colors of the sky shifted, reflecting emotions he could not name. He climbed steep cliffs, crossed shallow streams that shimmered with a light of their own, and navigated forests of crystal-like trees that chimed when the wind passed through them. Each step felt like a journey not only across the planet but also into the depths of himself. Finally, he reached a plateau overlooking a valley bathed in soft golden light. The queen appeared beside him as if she had walked there silently. He had no recollection of her moving, yet there she was, calm and radiant. You have come far, she said. Not all who begin this path do so. Many turn back overwhelmed by what they cannot understand. But you persist. That is why you may yet meet her. He looked at her, feeling a strange mixture of gratitude and fear. I don't know if I'm ready, he admitted. You will never feel ready, she said. But readiness is not what matters. Courage, perseverance, and the willingness to face the unknown. These will guide you, and in time you will see that the journey itself is the preparation. For the first time, the human felt something like trust. The queen's presence was intimidating, yes, but it was also protective, almost gentle in its strength. He realized that despite the vast difference in their lives, there was a connection forming, a recognition that they were both part of something greater than themselves. As the sun, or whatever passed for a sun on this alien world, began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the plateau, the queen whispered again, almost as if speaking to herself. She waits, my daughter, and he will come. But only when he is ready. The human stood there looking out at the glowing valley, feeling the weight of possibility pressing upon him. He did not know what lay ahead, what challenges he would face, or how he would ever bridge the gap between his world and this one. But for the first time in his life, he felt that he was part of a story far larger than himself, one that would test everything he knew and everything he believed. And so, he took a deep breath and stepped forward into the unknown, guided by the ancient queen's quiet assurance and the promise of a meeting that could change not only his life, but the fate of worlds. The human had barely caught his breath after the journey across the plateau, when he realized the landscape was changing. The valley below stretched wider now, dotted with structures that shimmered faintly in the strange light, as if built from glass or crystal, but alive in a way he could not describe. He could see flowing streams, gardens of luminous plants, and shapes moving in the distance, creatures he had never seen before. Yet they moved with a rhythm and purpose that felt oddly familiar. The queen walked beside him, her presence steady and calm. Every so often she would glance at him, her eyes reflecting centuries of experience. She spoke rarely, but when she did, her words carried weight. You have taken the first steps, human. Many would have faltered when faced with this vast unknown. But you continue, driven by curiosity, by courage. That is why you are here. He tried to respond, but words failed him. How could he explain the mixture of fear, awe, and excitement that swirled within him? Every step forward felt like crossing not only a physical distance but an emotional and mental boundary as well. He realized that this planet, this world, was testing him, not with danger alone, but with the sheer strangeness and intensity of existence itself. You may not understand it yet, the queen continued, but what you are seeing is a reflection of your own mind. The world adapts to those who walk it. It will challenge you in ways that reveal who you truly are. He looked around, noticing for the first time that the structures in the valley were not simply beautiful, they were alive. Small shifts of light, patterns that seemed to communicate silently, and colors that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was as though the planet itself was aware of his presence, observing him as closely as the Queen did. He felt a shiver run down his spine. The thought was unsettling but also exhilarating. Why me? He asked finally, almost to himself. Why now? Why am I the one brought here? The Queen did not answer immediately. Instead, she guided him along a winding path that led to a plateau overlooking a waterfall of liquid light, cascading into a lake that glowed with its own inner energy. You are not the first human to reach this place, nor will you be the last. But few are chosen for the journey you are on. Some come seeking knowledge, others fortune. Most leave before understanding. You are different. There is something in your spirit that resonates with this world. He could hardly process her words. His life on Earth had been ordinary in many ways, years of study, exploration, and survival training, but nothing in his past had suggested that he might one day be considered chosen by a civilization beyond his understanding. And yet, standing here, he felt both honored and burdened. The responsibility weighed on him, but it also sparked a fire of determination. As they walked, the Queen began to share stories of her life, of worlds she had seen rise and fall, of civilizations she had guided and protected. Her voice was calm, almost hypnotic, but each story carried a lesson, a fragment of wisdom that he absorbed like a sponge. She spoke of battles fought not with weapons but with ideas, of decisions that shaped countless lives, and of losses so profound that even she felt their weight centuries later. You see, human, she said finally, life is not measured in years alone. It is measured in choices, in the courage to act when others hesitate, in the willingness to face truths that are difficult and uncomfortable. Your daughter, or rather my daughter, will need someone who understands this, someone who can see beyond what is immediate and obvious. That is why you were brought here. He struggled to respond. The weight of her words pressed on him like a heavy stone. How could he, a single human, hope to meet such expectations? And yet there was a part of him that understood. There was a quiet strength within him, born of years of challenges and moments of fear overcome. Perhaps this was why he had been chosen, though the thought both thrilled and intimidated him. The path became steeper, winding through cliffs that overlooked vast forests of alien flora. Strange birds, or bird-like creatures, soared above, their wings shimmering with colors he could not name. The air was alive with sound and motion, yet there was a calmness that grounded him, reminding him to breathe, to focus, to stay present. You must understand, the Queen said, her voice almost a whisper, that what awaits you is not simple. It is not meant to be easy. To meet my daughter, to connect with her, you must first understand the world you have entered and in turn understand yourself. Only then can you truly see what is meant to be seen. He nodded, even though he did not fully understand. Her words were like a riddle, difficult to grasp, yet he felt their truth. The journey itself, she was telling him, was the lesson. The trials, the sights, the challenges, these were all shaping him, preparing him for something greater than himself. As they approached a narrow bridge suspended over a deep chasm, he felt his legs tremble. The bridge was made of a translucent material, glowing faintly beneath his feet, and he could see the swirling abyss below. A misstep would not necessarily be fatal, but it would certainly end his journey. His palms were sweaty and his heart raced. Step carefully, the Queen said calmly. Fear is natural. It is how you respond to it that matters. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward despite it. He took a deep breath and placed one foot on the bridge. The material shifted slightly as if responding to his weight. He felt the tension in his muscles, the pounding of his heart, and yet he moved forward step by step. Each motion required focus, but with every step he felt a growing confidence. By the time he reached the other side, he realized that he had faced something far greater than a physical challenge. He had faced himself. The Queen waited patiently, her expression serene. Good, she said. You are learning, though you may not realize it. There is a balance in all things, human. Strength without wisdom is empty. Courage without understanding is reckless. You are beginning to grasp this. He exhaled, feeling a sense of relief mixed with accomplishment. For the first time since arriving on this alien world, he felt a flicker of belonging, a sense that he was not entirely out of place. The Queen's presence, though overwhelming, had become a guide, a steady force that helped him navigate both the alien environment and the uncertainty within himself. They continued walking until the landscape opened into a wide courtyard surrounded by towering structures. Strange symbols and flowing lights adorned every surface, and creatures moved about with purpose, yet none approached him aggressively. The human realized that he was being observed, tested, and perhaps even accepted in small ways he did not yet understand. "Patience," the Queen said, reading his thoughts. "Do not rush. Understanding comes in its own time. You are being prepared, guided, and watched, not to frighten you, but to ensure that when the moment comes, you are ready." He nodded again, feeling the weight of her words. Patience had never been easy for him, but he recognized its importance now. The journey was not just about reaching a destination or meeting her daughter. It was about learning, growing, and seeing the world through eyes different from his own. As the alien sun dipped lower, painting the sky with brilliant streaks of color, the human realized he was exhausted. Yet for the first time he felt more alive than ever. The fear and awe he had felt at the beginning of this journey had evolved into something more profound. A sense of purpose, a quiet determination, and a deep curiosity about the daughter he had yet to meet. The Queen paused at the edge of the courtyard and turned to him. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dimming light. "Rest now, human. You will need your strength for what comes next. Remember this, what you have experienced today is only the beginning. The path ahead will test you in ways both expected and unexpected. Do not falter. Do not lose yourself, and above all, remember that you are not here by chance." He nodded, feeling both gratitude and anticipation. The Queen had not promised an easy journey, but she had promised guidance, and that alone gave him hope. As he settled to rest under the alien sky, he thought of the daughter he was meant to meet. She was out there somewhere waiting, and perhaps she too was facing challenges he could not yet imagine. For the first time since his arrival, he felt ready, not fully prepared perhaps, but ready to face whatever came next. The alien world was vast, mysterious, and alive, and he was now a part of it in a way he could not have foreseen. And somewhere in the distance the Queen's daughter awaited him, a meeting that would change everything, if he could endure the lessons that the planet and the ancient Queen had already begun to teach him. The human had rested as the Queen instructed, letting the alien sky and its shifting colors calm his restless mind. When he awoke, the courtyard was alive with movement. He could see creatures of all shapes and sizes, each carrying out tasks with precision and focus. Yet the atmosphere felt less intimidating than before. The world seemed to have accepted him in a small way, and he no longer felt completely out of place. He could feel the Queen's guidance lingering in his mind, quiet but steady, reminding him that patience, observation, and understanding would be his greatest tools. The Queen approached him once more. Her steps were quiet, her presence still awe-inspiring. "Today you will meet her," she said. The human's heart skipped a beat. The daughter, the one he had been preparing to encounter, was near. A mix of excitement and nervousness coursed through him. He had spent days traversing this alien world, facing its challenges, yet the thought of meeting her brought a completely new kind of tension. "You must understand," the Queen continued, "that she is not a mirror of your world. She has grown in ways that humans cannot imagine. Do not expect her to think, act, or feel as you would. Respect her perspective and you will begin to understand her." He nodded, taking a deep breath. The Queen extended her hand and a path of light appeared beneath her touch, leading him through a series of delicate bridges suspended over flowing streams of glowing water. Each step shimmered with soft illumination, guiding him forward. He followed quietly, focused entirely on the path ahead, though his mind raced with questions. What would she look like? How would she react? And most importantly, could he connect with someone so different from himself? At last the path opened into a garden unlike anything he had seen. The plants glowed faintly, their leaves transparent and delicate, swaying gently despite the absence of wind. Flowers of impossible colors dotted the landscape, releasing a soft, sweet fragrance, and there, standing near a crystal-clear pond, was the daughter. She was unlike the Queen, youthful and vibrant, yet her presence carried a quiet strength. Her skin reflected the colors of the garden, shimmering softly, and her eyes glowed with an intelligence and curiosity that mirrored the Queen's, but with a gentleness he could not describe. For a moment, neither spoke. The human felt his heart race as he studied her face, trying to understand what he was seeing. She watched him with equal intensity, tilting her head slightly as if trying to assess him. There was no fear in her eyes, but there was caution, a careful observation that made him feel both welcomed and tested at the same time. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, musical, and curious. "You have come far," she said, and he was struck by the warmth in her tone. "I have heard of you. The Queen speaks of your journey and the challenges you have faced. But you are here now. That is what matters." He took a step forward, his voice trembling slightly. I'm honored to meet you. Your mother has spoken of me." She nodded, a faint smile playing on her lips. She does not speak lightly. What she says carries meaning. But words are only part of the story. I want to see for myself who you are, human. Not the version described, but the one standing here now. Her words made him pause. He realized that she was not only testing him, but also seeking to understand him as an individual. This was not a simple introduction. It was an opportunity, a chance to build trust and connection across worlds. He tried to steady himself, drawing on the courage he had discovered during his journey. "I will do my best," he said finally. Her eyes seemed to brighten slightly and she stepped closer, careful and deliberate. "Good," she said. "But know this, understanding is not always immediate. It takes time, observation, and patience. And sometimes the things that matter most are the ones you cannot see at first glance." He nodded again, feeling both anticipation and a sense of humility. She was teaching him even in their first moments together. He realized that the daughter's world, like her mother's, was a place where every detail, every action, and every choice carried meaning. He would have to learn quickly or risk misunderstanding everything around him. As they began to walk through the glowing garden together, he noticed the subtle ways she interacted with her environment. She touched the plants lightly and they responded, bending toward her as if drawn by her presence. She stepped carefully over streams and the water seemed to ripple in recognition of her. It was a delicate, almost magical connection to the world around her, one that required respect and sensitivity. "You see," she said, breaking the silence, "our world responds to those who are mindful of it. You have learned to navigate challenges, but you must also learn to listen, to observe, to feel, and to understand. Only then can you truly connect with what exists here and with me." He listened intently, aware that every word carried weight. He had always thought of exploration as a physical journey, mapping terrain, surviving harsh conditions, and gathering knowledge. But here, exploration meant something more profound. It was not only about the world outside, but also about understanding the people, or beings who lived within it. They walked in silence for a time, each step revealing new wonders. Strange flowers opened as they passed, and luminous birds followed them in graceful arcs. He realized that this world was alive in ways he had never imagined, and that the daughter's connection to it was both natural and extraordinary. She moved with confidence, yet there was no arrogance in her actions. Every movement seemed intentional, balanced, and full of awareness. "Tell me," she said suddenly, turning to him. "What drives you to explore? Why leave your world behind to face the unknown?" He paused, considering his answer. I have always been curious," he admitted. "Curiosity, I suppose, but also the need to understand what lies beyond. I want to see, to learn, to experience things that I cannot back home. And now, I realize that it is also about finding purpose. Being here with you and your mother, it feels like there is something I am meant to do." Her eyes softened, reflecting both understanding and perhaps a hint of surprise. "Purpose," she said softly. "Yes, that is important. Many wander without it, yet you seek meaning even in the unknown. That is why you are here and why you may endure what others cannot." The human felt a mixture of pride and humility. Her words were encouraging. Yet they also reminded him of the responsibility he carried. This was not a casual meeting or a simple adventure. It was the beginning of a connection that could change not only his life, but potentially the relationship between humans and her people. As they continued through the garden, she shared glimpses of her own experiences, lessons learned from her mother, challenges faced while growing up, and moments of doubt that had shaped her understanding of the world. He listened, fascinated by the parallels and differences between their lives. Despite their differences in species, upbringing, and perspective, he found that they shared a common desire to understand, to grow, and to find a way to make their actions meaningful. Eventually, they reached a serene pool at the center of the garden. The water was perfectly still, reflecting the sky above and the glowing flora surrounding it. She paused, looking into the reflection with a contemplative expression. "Look closely," she said. "Sometimes the answers you seek are reflected in ways you do not expect. Do you see yourself clearly?" He knelt by the water's edge, gazing into the reflection. At first he saw only his own image, a human far from home, small in comparison to the vastness of this world. But as he focused, he began to notice something else: the strength in his posture, the determination in his eyes, and the courage that had carried him across alien landscapes and challenges. Slowly he understood what she meant. This journey was not about changing who he was, but about recognizing the qualities that had always been within him. She smiled faintly, a gesture of approval. "You are beginning to understand. Meeting me is not only about me, it is about yourself and the choices you make. You must learn to see, to feel, and to act with awareness. Only then can we truly connect." The human nodded, feeling a deeper sense of clarity. He realized that this was only the beginning. The daughter, the garden, the lessons, everything was preparing him for challenges he could not yet imagine, and for a connection that required more than curiosity or courage. It required empathy, patience, and understanding. As the alien sun dipped lower, casting long, shimmering reflections across the pool, he felt a quiet determination settle within him. The journey had brought him here to this moment, and he was ready to continue learning. The daughter's presence was both a challenge and an invitation, a call to grow, to see beyond himself and to embrace the unknown with an open heart. And so, standing together in the glowing garden, human and daughter alike felt the first threads of understanding forming. Words alone could not convey the connection, but in their shared observation, patience, and mutual respect, a bond began to take shape. One that would guide them through the trials ahead, and one that would ultimately define the next chapter of both their lives. The human felt the weight of anticipation pressing on him as he followed the daughter deeper into the alien world. The garden and the serene pool had been peaceful, but now the path ahead seemed more uncertain, more challenging. The landscape shifted, becoming rugged and wild with jagged cliffs, deep crevices, and twisting paths that tested every step. Strange sounds echoed around him, some melodic, some harsh, making him tense. Every instinct told him to proceed cautiously, yet the daughter walked ahead confidently, as if the dangers around them were familiar friends rather than threats. "You must understand," she said, her voice calm but firm, "to truly prove yourself, you cannot rely on fear or hesitation. This world tests more than your body. It tests your mind, your patience, and your ability to understand what is around you. Every step is a choice, every decision a reflection of who you are." He nodded, feeling a mixture of nervousness and determination. He had faced challenges before, but none like this. This was not merely physical, it was mental and emotional. The land itself seemed alive, shifting subtly as if it was aware of his presence, measuring his resolve and deciding whether he was worthy to continue. Their first challenge came sooner than expected. A narrow bridge stretched across a chasm, so high that the ground below was lost in swirling mist. The bridge seemed fragile, almost delicate, yet it glowed faintly as if encouraging him to trust it. He hesitated, looking at the daughter. She crossed easily, glancing back at him with a faint smile. "Do not overthink it," she said. "Fear will only make the bridge unstable for you. Step with awareness, trust your instincts, and move steadily." He took a deep breath and placed one foot on the glowing surface. The bridge shifted slightly under his weight, but it held. Step by step, he moved forward, focusing on balance and presence. Halfway across, a gust of wind made the bridge sway, and his heart leapt into his throat. He froze for a moment, panic rising. Then he remembered her words, trust and awareness, and forced himself to continue, breathing deeply and steadying his steps. By the time he reached the other side, his legs were trembling, but he felt a surge of pride and confidence. He had faced fear and moved beyond it. "Good," she said, her eyes glowing faintly. "You have learned something important. Fear is natural, but it does not have to control you. Courage is the choice to act even when fear is present." The human nodded, absorbing her lesson. He realized that every challenge in this world was teaching him more than survival. It was teaching him life. The daughter had a way of making him see that strength was not just physical power, but emotional resilience, awareness, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. Their path led into a dense forest of towering crystalline trees. Light shimmered through the leaves, creating patterns on the ground that seemed to move and change as they walked. Strange creatures darted between the trunks, watching them curiously but not attacking. The human felt a mixture of awe and anxiety. Every step required careful observation, every movement a test of patience and perception. "This forest tests your awareness," the daughter explained. "You must notice the small details, the color changes, the sounds, the subtle shifts in the air. These will guide you if you pay attention. Ignore them and you may falter." He concentrated, noticing things he would have missed before. Tiny glimmers of light in the underbrush marked safe paths. The soft rustle of leaves indicated the presence of creatures, helping him anticipate their movements. The air itself seemed to carry information if he could only listen. Slowly, he began to navigate the forest with more confidence, learning to move in harmony with the world rather than against it. After several hours, they reached a clearing where a large stone structure stood, ancient and imposing. Symbols and carvings covered its surface, glowing faintly as if alive. The daughter stopped at its entrance, turning to him. "This is the trial that tests understanding," she said. "The bridge tested courage, the forest tested awareness, and this will test your wisdom and empathy. You must learn to interpret the symbols, to feel their meaning, and to act accordingly. Only then can you proceed." The human stepped closer, examining the carvings. At first they seemed like abstract patterns, beautiful but meaningless. But as he studied them, he began to notice repetitions, connections, and sequences. It was like a language he did not know but could sense intuitively. The daughter observed silently, occasionally guiding him with subtle gestures or hints but never giving direct answers. Hours passed as he deciphered the meanings. Learning to combine logic with intuition, he realized that the carvings were not merely instructions. They conveyed the values and lessons of this world. Patience, kindness, courage, and understanding were embedded in every line and curve. The human felt a deep respect for the beings who had created such a place, and he understood that this was not simply a challenge of intellect but a test of character. Finally, he completed the trial, and the symbols glowed brightly, as if acknowledging his understanding. The daughter stepped forward, smiling. "You have done well," she said. "Not because you solved it quickly, but because you did so with care, respect, and awareness. That is what matters most here." He felt relief and a growing sense of confidence. Each challenge he faced seemed impossible at first, yet he discovered strengths within himself he had never known. The daughter's guidance had been patient but firm, teaching him that the journey was as important as the destination. Their path continued, leading to a high cliff overlooking a vast canyon. The wind was strong, whipping around them and carrying the scent of alien flowers. Below, strange formations glowed faintly, and the human felt a sense of vertigo. The daughter stood calmly at the edge, looking out over the expanse. "Do you fear what you cannot see?" she asked softly. He nodded. "I do. I cannot know what lies below or what might happen if I take the next step." "Then take the step with trust," she replied. "Not trust in the ground, not trust in the world, but trust in yourself. That is the only way forward." He took a deep breath, closing his eyes for a moment. Then opening them, he stepped forward, feeling the wind rush past him. The ground beneath him was solid, yet the experience was transformative. He realized that fear was natural, but it did not have to control him. Courage came from choosing to move despite fear, from believing in oneself even when the path is uncertain. The daughter smiled faintly. "You are learning, human. Each challenge shapes you, prepares you, and reveals who you are. That is why you were brought here, not merely to face tests, but to grow beyond what you thought possible." He nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. Every challenge, every step, and every lesson was not just about survival. It was about understanding, empathy, courage, and self-discovery. He was learning not only about this alien world, but also about himself, his limits, and his potential. As they descended from the cliff and continued along winding paths, the daughter shared stories of her own challenges. She spoke of moments of doubt, fear, and confusion she had faced while growing up in this world, and how she had learned to trust herself and the guidance of her mother. He listened, fascinated by the parallels between their experiences, despite their differences in species and perspective. By the time they reached the edge of a luminous lake, the human felt exhausted but invigorated. The challenges had tested him in every way, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yet he also felt a sense of accomplishment, growth, and deeper understanding. The daughter looked at him with a quiet pride. "You have done well today," she said. "The trials are not over, but you have taken important steps. You are beginning to understand the world, its values, and the strength within yourself. That is the greatest lesson of all. The human looked out over the glowing lake, feeling the calmness of the water reflecting in him. He realized that this journey, though difficult, was shaping him into someone he had never been before. Courage, patience, empathy, and understanding were no longer abstract concepts. They were qualities he had discovered within himself. The daughter's presence had guided him, but it was his own choices, efforts, and willingness to grow that had carried him through the trials. For the first time, he felt that he could face whatever challenges lay ahead, including the ultimate meeting with her mother and the responsibilities that would follow. As the alien sun dipped below the horizon, casting brilliant colors across the lake and cliffs, the human felt a quiet determination settle within him. He had faced fear, tested his awareness, and discovered strengths he had never known. The journey was far from over, but he now understood that the challenges were not obstacles. They were opportunities to grow, learn, and prepare for what was to come. The daughter turned to him one last time before nightfall. "Rest now," she said gently. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges, and you will need your strength, wisdom, and courage. Remember what you have learned today. It is only the beginning." The human nodded, feeling both gratitude and anticipation. He had faced trials he never imagined, yet each one had revealed something essential about himself. The journey through this alien world, guided by the daughter, was transforming him, preparing him for the future in ways he could not yet fully understand. As he settled to rest under the alien sky, he reflected on the lessons of the day. Courage, awareness, empathy, and understanding were no longer abstract. The human woke to a soft golden light filtering through the alien trees. The air was calm, carrying the faint scent of flowers and something more subtle, almost like energy. He stretched and took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past challenges and the lessons they had taught him. Each step he had taken, each decision he had made, had shaped him in ways he could now recognize. Yet he knew the journey was far from over. Today promised something deeper, something more profound than tests of courage or skill. The daughter was already waiting, standing quietly near the edge of a glowing lake. Her presence was serene but commanding, and her eyes reflected both curiosity and wisdom. She gestured for him to join her, and he stepped forward, feeling the calm determination she radiated. The lake shimmered, reflecting the alien sky, and for a moment he felt as though the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to unfold. "You have come far, human," she said softly. "You have faced fear, learned awareness, and begun to understand this world and its ways. But there is something more you must know, something that will change the way you see everything." He looked at her, sensing the gravity in her words. His heart raced, a mixture of anticipation and nervousness filling him. "What is it?" he asked, his voice steady despite the tension. She glanced toward a nearby cliff where the alien sun cast long shadows over the landscape. "My mother has asked me to share with you the truth about why you are here. She has watched you, guided you, and tested you because she believes in your potential. But the reason you were brought here goes beyond curiosity or courage. It is about purpose and responsibility." The human felt a shiver run down his spine. He had sensed that his journey was important, but her words confirmed it in a way he had not imagined. Purpose and responsibility, concepts that had always seemed abstract on Earth, now felt urgent, real, and personal. "Your presence here," she continued, "is not merely chance. It is connected to events that will affect both our worlds. My mother has seen a future where cooperation between humans and our people is crucial, and you, human, play a part in that future. You bring perspectives, understanding, and choices that are necessary for what is to come." He swallowed hard, trying to absorb the enormity of her words. His mind raced with questions, doubts, and fears. How could one human make a difference in the fate of worlds he barely understood? And yet he felt a quiet stirring within, a recognition that the journey so far had been preparing him for exactly this moment. The daughter moved closer, her expression gentle but intense. "Do not be afraid of the responsibility," she said. "You will not face it alone. My mother and I will guide you, but you must also trust yourself. The decisions you make, the courage you show, and the wisdom you cultivate will determine not only your path but the future of many." He nodded, feeling the first spark of understanding. The lessons from the bridge, the forest, the trials, they were not just preparation for survival. They were preparation for this moment, for the recognition that he was capable of contributing in ways he had never imagined. The fear was still present, but it was tempered by a growing sense of confidence and purpose. The daughter led him along the edge of the lake, where the water reflected the sky like a perfect mirror. "Look," she said, pointing to the surface. "See your reflection, not just as you are, but as you can be. Courage, understanding, empathy. These are the qualities that have brought you here. They are the qualities that will guide you forward." He gazed into the water, seeing himself clearly for the first time in a way that was different from Earth. This was not merely a physical reflection, but a reflection of his potential, of the choices he had made and the lessons he had learned. He felt a quiet determination settle within him. "Your mother believes in you," the daughter continued. "She knows that meeting her, understanding her, and eventually working with her will require more than strength or intelligence. It will require trust, patience, and the ability to connect across worlds. That is why you were guided here step by step, trial by trial." The human felt a wave of gratitude and resolve. He had never imagined that his journey, which had started with simple exploration, could lead to such significance. And yet, the clarity of the daughter's words left no doubt. He was here for a purpose far greater than himself. Suddenly, the daughter turned and motioned toward a pathway leading into a grove of trees. "Come," she said. "There is someone who wishes to speak with you. She has something important to share, something that will prepare you for the next stage of your journey." They walked together, the human following closely, aware of the strange sense of anticipation building in him. The grove was quiet, the air charged with a subtle energy. At its center stood the queen, her presence more commanding than ever, yet with a warmth that made him feel both awe and trust. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting centuries of wisdom, battles, and victories. "You have come far," she said, her voice deep and resonant. "Not all who begin this journey reach this point. You have faced fear, learned awareness, and begun to understand the challenges of this world. But understanding is only the beginning. You must also accept the responsibility of what is to come." He bowed his head slightly, feeling the weight of her words. "I will do my best," he said. The queen nodded, her gaze piercing yet calm. "Do not underestimate the task before you. The choices you make will affect not only your life but the lives of countless others. My daughter and I will guide you, but you must act with integrity, courage, and empathy. You must trust yourself even when the path is unclear." He nodded, absorbing the enormity of her words. His journey had taught him lessons in courage, awareness, and understanding. But now he realized that these qualities were just the foundation. Purpose and responsibility demanded application, not just awareness. He would have to act, and his actions would matter. The queen stepped closer, her voice softening. "There is something you must know, human. My daughter carries a destiny that is intertwined with the future of both our worlds. Her strength, intelligence, and empathy are remarkable, but she alone cannot achieve what is necessary. Your presence, your choices, and your understanding are essential. You are not merely an observer or participant. You are a partner in what is to come." The human felt a mixture of awe and humility. The idea that he could play such a crucial role was overwhelming, yet he also felt a sense of clarity. The trials, the journey, the lessons, they had all been leading to this realization. He understood now that he was capable of rising to the challenge. The daughter stepped forward, placing a hand gently on his arm. "You are ready," she said. "Not because you are perfect, but because you have learned, grown, and faced your fears. That is what will allow you to connect with me, with my mother, and with the responsibilities ahead. We will guide you, but your choices, your courage, and your empathy will shape what happens next." He felt a quiet determination settle within him. The path ahead would not be easy, but he understood now that he had the qualities necessary to face it. Courage, awareness, empathy, and understanding had brought him this far, and they would continue to guide him. The queen nodded, a faint smile appearing on her lips. "Tomorrow you will take the next step. You will face challenges that will test your understanding, your resolve, and your heart. Remember what you have learned, human. Trust yourself and trust in the connection you have begun to build with my daughter. Together you can achieve what neither of you could accomplish alone." The human bowed, feeling the weight of her words and the responsibility they carried. He had never imagined that his journey could lead to something so significant. Yet he also felt a sense of readiness he had never known before. The lessons, the trials, and the guidance of the daughter and the queen had prepared him in ways he could not fully describe. But he knew he was ready to face what was coming. As he looked out over the glowing landscape, the alien sun casting long shadows and painting the sky with brilliant colors, he felt a sense of clarity and purpose. The journey had been difficult, but every step, every choice, and every lesson had led to this moment. He understood now that he was not merely a visitor in this world. He was a participant, a partner, and a key part of what was to come. The daughter stepped beside him, her expression calm and confident. "Rest now," she said gently. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges, and you will need your strength, courage, and understanding. But remember this, you are not alone. Together we will face what is ahead, and together we will shape the future." The human nodded, feeling gratitude, determination, and anticipation. The journey was far from over. But he had learned that the challenges were not obstacles. They were opportunities to grow, to connect, and to prepare for what was necessary. And as he rested under the alien sky, he felt a quiet strength within him, ready to face whatever tomorrow would bring. The human awoke to a quiet golden light that filtered softly through the alien canopy. Today felt different. There was a stillness in the air, a calm sense of expectation as if the world itself was waiting for something to unfold. He stretched, feeling the lessons of the past days heavy in his mind. Lessons of courage, awareness, empathy, and understanding. They had prepared him for this moment, the culmination of his journey, yet he knew it would require more than what he had learned so far. The daughter was waiting by the edge of a crystalline lake. Her presence was calm but filled with energy, a combination of curiosity, wisdom, and quiet strength. She turned as he approached, her eyes reflecting the glow of the water and the alien sky. "Today," she said softly, "you will complete your journey. What happens now will define the path forward, not only for you but for both our worlds." He swallowed, feeling a mixture of nervousness and determination. This was the moment he had been preparing for. All the trials, all the guidance, all the lessons, they had led him here. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, but he also felt the strength that had grown within him, quietly but surely, over the past days. The daughter led him along the water's edge, where the shimmering surface reflected their movements like a mirror. "Do you understand what you have become?" she asked. "Not just as a human, but as someone who can influence, who can connect, who can make a difference?" He nodded slowly. "I think so. The journey has changed me. I see now that courage, awareness, and empathy are more than qualities, they are choices. And choices define who we are." She smiled faintly. "Exactly. And now you must choose again. The path ahead requires not only understanding but action. You will face challenges that cannot be solved by strength alone. You must act with the wisdom you have gained, with the empathy you have nurtured, and with the courage that has carried you here." They walked in silence for a while, each step revealing new wonders of the alien world. Strange flora glowed with soft light, and creatures of all shapes moved gracefully, watching them without fear. The human felt a quiet sense of belonging, as if the world had accepted him, not completely, but enough to allow him to take the next steps with confidence. Finally, they reached a grand structure of glowing crystal at the center of a plateau. Its surface shimmered with patterns that seemed alive, moving in waves like a heartbeat. The daughter stopped and turned to him. "Here is where your journey culminates. Within this place you will meet my mother. She will reveal what you must know, and guide you in what comes next. But remember this, your choices here, your presence here is what matters. Trust yourself." The human took a deep breath, stepping forward. He felt the weight of the world, or at least this world, on his shoulders. But he also felt a quiet confidence he had never known. The trials had prepared him, the daughter's guidance had strengthened him, and now he was ready to face the ultimate moment. Inside the crystal structure, the light was soft and golden, almost alive. At the center stood the queen, her presence overwhelming but not frightening. She regarded him with eyes that seemed to pierce into his very soul. Yet there was warmth in her gaze. "You have come far, human," she said. "Few endure what you have. Few rise to meet the challenges, to learn the lessons, and to grow as you have. Today you will understand why you were brought here." He bowed slightly, feeling both awe and respect. "I am ready," he said. The queen nodded. "Ready is only the beginning. What you face now will require your understanding, your courage, and your heart. My daughter and I have guided you to this moment because we see potential in you, not just to survive, but to act, to connect, and to help shape what is to come." The human felt the enormity of her words. His mind raced with questions, yet he understood that this was not about answers alone. It was about trust, empathy, and the willingness to act when necessary. He felt the lessons of the past days crystallizing within him. Every step, every trial, every challenge had brought him here, to a moment of choice and purpose. The Queen stepped closer, her voice softer now. "My daughter will now speak with you alone. She has observed you, learned from you, and begun to understand you. You will share what you have learned, and you will discover what she has to offer. Together you will determine the path forward." The daughter led him to a serene chamber filled with soft, glowing light. The walls shimmered, reflecting the patterns of their thoughts and feelings. For the first time, the human felt a deep connection to the space itself, as though it was alive and responding to the bond forming between them. "Do you understand why you are here?" she asked, her voice calm but insistent. He nodded. "I think I do. I am here to learn, to understand, and to act, to make choices that matter. Not just for me, but for you, your mother, and perhaps even for my world." She smiled faintly. "Yes, but understand this, action requires more than intention. It requires empathy, patience, and the ability to see beyond what is immediately visible. You have learned courage and awareness, but now you must apply them in ways that truly connect with others." He felt a quiet determination settle within him. "I am ready to try," he said. The daughter studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Then let us begin." She guided him to a reflective pool in the center of the chamber. The water shimmered with soft light, reflecting not just their images, but their thoughts, emotions, and intentions. "Look closely," she said. "See not only yourself, but the connection between us, the choices you have made, and the potential for what is to come." He gazed into the pool, seeing his own reflection and beside it the shimmering image of the daughter. Slowly he realized that the reflection was more than visual. It was symbolic. It showed the growth he had undergone, the lessons he had learned, and the bond forming between them. Courage, empathy, awareness, and understanding were no longer abstract. They were alive within him, reflected in the shared connection with the daughter. "You have done well," she said softly. "But the journey is not complete. You must now choose. Every action you take, every decision will have consequences. Will you act with care, courage, and understanding? Will you trust yourself even when the path is unclear?" He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility. He remembered the bridge that had tested his fear, the forest that had tested his awareness, the trials that had tested his understanding. Each moment had prepared him for this. He could feel the lessons etched into his mind and heart. "I will," he said firmly. "I will act with care, courage, and understanding. I will trust myself even when I do not know the outcome." The daughter's eyes glowed faintly, a sign of approval. "Then you are ready," she said. "Not because the journey is over, but because you have learned what it means to face challenges with integrity, empathy, and courage. This is the foundation for what is to come." As they stepped back, the Queen appeared once more, her presence filling the chamber. "You have proven yourself," she said. "Not by force, not by speed, but by learning, growing, and choosing. Your journey has been long and your trials difficult, but you have emerged not just stronger, but wiser, and that is why you were brought here." The human bowed, feeling a mixture of relief, pride, and deep humility. "Thank you," he said softly. "For your guidance, for the lessons, and for believing in me." The Queen nodded. "The journey is never truly over, human. But today marks a turning point. You understand courage, awareness, empathy, and connection. You have learned to trust yourself, and to act with wisdom and understanding. These are the qualities that will guide you and your daughter as you face what comes next." The human looked at the daughter, feeling the bond that had grown between them over the past days. It was a connection built on trust, shared challenges, and mutual understanding. He realized now that this bond was more than companionship. It was a partnership, a shared purpose that would guide them both forward. As they stepped out into the glowing landscape, the alien sky above reflecting hues of gold and violet, the human felt a profound sense of clarity. The journey had transformed him, not just in skill, but in perspective, understanding, and heart. The trials had prepared him for responsibility. The daughter had guided him with wisdom, and the Queen had shown him the purpose behind it all. He knew that challenges would continue, but he also knew that he was no longer simply a human exploring an alien world. He was a participant, a partner, and a force capable of making a difference. And for the first time, he felt truly ready. Together, the human and the daughter walked forward side by side, guided by the lessons of the past and the promise of what was to come. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, the unknown did not feel frightening. It felt full of possibility. And as they moved forward, the alien world seemed to hum with quiet approval, acknowledging not just their presence, but the connection, courage, and understanding that would shape the future.